got your own area.
Then don't ask them to pay for it.
And we're not
because once again.
Oh, so you want them to stay away but foot the bill.
So you got to do that with everything
and now
else
it's
in
the
tax
kid, now
code.
it's the boodle, and nothing is safe. Stay away from us, but pay for us. Do you realize that guy's going to hate you?
You're ignoring that other side of the coin. If we're going to do that, if we're going to give you that, then you got to go through everything, and you got to give us the same thing. We're not going to pay for certain shit that we don't agree with.
Can I ask you something real talk? While we're having real talk, why do young black men fight in packs?
Welcome back. As I'm sure you've noticed, race relations in America aren't exactly where we would hope they'd be in 2025. And considering the events over the past year or few, one can understand why.
22-year-old Logan Federico lived in North Carolina and was visiting friends in Columbia back in May. Authorities say her alleged killer, Alexander Dickey, entered the home that she was staying in and shot her.
Investigators also say Dickey was on a crime spree before killing Logan.
A Collin County grand jury indicted 18-year-old Carmelo Anthony with first-degree murder. He's accused of stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a Frisco track meet earlier this year.
Killing a Ukrainian refugee on Charlotte's Light Rail last month, being put into handcuffs. This new chilling video is one of nearly a dozen new clips now in the hands of WBTV.
That's what prompted me to go back to the barbershop and start the conversation that you saw in part 1 of this video last week.
Have you guys heard of the term black fatigue?
And if you thought that was heated, all I have to say about part 2 today is hold on to your butts.
What I said earlier, and you listen to this, is when you have a young white person going, okay, why is this happening? And people go, Black Lives Matter. And they go, well, hold on a second. I have an opinion on Black Lives Matter. They go, well, sit down, shut up. Okay, now silence is violence. And that kid goes, well, what do I do? By the way, you're on the hook for reparations, even though his father, his grandfather, his great-great-grandfather didn't own a slave, and he's still 12 times more likely to be killed by a black person the other way around. What I'm saying is society is going to create a generation of racists. What do you say to that young white kid? What do you say to him?
Stop watching, stay off of TikTok.
Stop reading stats.
Stop paying attention to what these talking heads are saying, because they're leading you down the wrong path. They're leading you down a path of paranoia and conspiracy theories.
What if their interactions with black people in general are quite negative?
So same thing, give the same thing in reverse. What about black people who've had continuous, not only historical, but personal experiences where they've been at the wrong end of white people?
Here's the thing, I'll tell you.
And then we get told that those stories are invalid.
No, you're not.
Yes, we do.
You're not.
I've been personally told my story was invalid.
I'll give you an example. And by the way, the only thing that keeps my heart protected from racism, by the way, the only thing that protects me from not wanting to go out and kill the person who shot Charlie Kirk, because by the way, there are 2 people on earth who know what it's like to sit in that chair. Me and him. And I just did it at SMU and had to have entire bulletproof glass and an army to go in and have conversations, right? So I'm a little bit pissed off about it. Also, people have tried to take my life many times. So I don't really have a whole lot of sympathy for anyone, white or black, saying, oh, must be. Yeah. You ever have someone show up at your house? You ever have someone show up at your house when your kids are sleeping with weapons being swatted? Like, we've been living through this for a long time and told you don't know what it's like. I will say this. My faith is what has protected me. My faith is what has protected my heart from becoming racist, but I've had a lot of negative interactions. That's why I'm sitting here. We'll have to edit this because just the word. By the way, if you want a relaxing vacation, stay home. Don't go to. I know, but my kids love it. So I go there, okay? And I'll tell you this. You have like this magic wand thing, you run around the hotel and it opens up chests. Wow. And I'm sitting there, I'm sunken eye, and there was a black guy next to me, obviously a dad with like his daughter and his son. And I just kind of looked at him, we looked at each other in the face like, yeah, we know. This is exhausting. And I know we have a lot in common because his wife or woman is probably in the room because he's there with his kids by himself. I was too. But then we were there at the water slides. My kids are 3. And this happened not once, but about 4 or 5 times. And it happened 3 times with one black kid who was about 5 or 6. Shoved my son out of the way to get on the water slide. Okay? My son did nothing. Shoved him out of the way a second time, came back. My son's 2, 3 years, which is a big deal at that point. And then at one point I look over, Mom, no Dad. And I just go like, hey, he's being aggressive. Okay, comes back the 3rd time. I go, hey, hold on, you have to wait in line. You know what my son said? My son said, well, Daddy, maybe he's in a real hurry. We should let him go. That was a different interaction. That kid kept doing it to every other and it wasn't the only one. And you know why? Because I've taught my kid, hey, you're going to have people who look different from you, and it doesn't matter, you treat them well. That kid wasn't. And I'm telling you, along with the empirical, anecdotally, if you have a young white person who has these interactions on a regular basis, and I'd be lying to you if I said they were uncommon, while being told they need to shut up because of systemic discrimination, you're gonna create a generation of racists.
I get it.
But that child was poorly parented too.
I agree.
There's no way in the world.
All the time.
Hey Steve, that child was poorly parented. There's no way in the world.
Dad,
His mother shouldn't have intervened and whipped his the first time.
No,
The dad did nothing, Steve?
The dad wasn't
There was no dad.
That's
That's to say that,
mom, no dad.
no, I say because it's not a race thing. The dad, him and I looked and were like, dude, I get it, right? We're both tired. But here, this kid, I don't know, maybe the dad wasn't there. His mom didn't, and he shoved my son out of the way 3
But
times.
it's poor parenting though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
And we run into that all the
saying.
time.
That's what I was about to say. It's poor parenting everywhere, and that creates individuals that grow up to be grown up individuals,
Let me give you
and
one.
some of those individuals end up getting positions of power.
Well, see, can I just drop one thing real quick?
Yeah.
Actually, because I like the thing about choices. And you were talking about the federal
By the
department.
way, the whitest
I'm sorry. But I'm sorry. Like, there's a couple things. You said you ended up in, and so you don't have to worry about things that people in South.
No, I said I've been afforded some things.
Afforded.
Yeah.
Why? How are you afforded that? You just happen to land
No,
here.
I sacrificed some things to live in.
Correct.
Right.
You made good choices.
I made choices. I
And when
made
we talk
choices
about
that.
when we talk about educational standards.
But I
why-
also had opportunities available
Sure,
to me
you-
too
sure.
that some people didn't have.
Of course, everyone has a different
Right.
lot for sure.
Right.
Sure.
But you were talking about educational standards. Why is it that the Asian kid does 3 times to 4 times as much homework than the black kid, and the white kid does 2
Conditioning.
to 3? Why?
Because it's culturally, it's conditioned.
Exactly.
So why is
That's
it
what
better
I'm saying.
parenting from
It's
Asians than white
and then we
parents?
come-
Why?
You said what?
Why is there better parenting? What he's trying to say is, you said bad parenting.
Well, I said.
So why is there better
culturally-
parenting from
culturally
Asians
teaching-
and white parents?
Yeah,
Correct.
culturally, the educational mindset, culturally, when
it all comes back
among
to
Asians,
choice.
they're taught from young
Yes.
that's primary.
Sure.
Over anything else, entertainment,
Also obeying the law.
how you dress, none of that matters.
And it's
Up here matters.
right,
Yeah,
and they're
I
also
agree.
about 3 to
Right.
4 times more likely to have a father in the household than a black.
That too. That too.
Why is this disproportionately affecting this one community? Because I have a question because I actually have, like, my uncle, my aunt's married to a black dude, one of the most accomplishment of all time. Helicopter pilot, National Park Ranger, served his country, has a Ferrari in the driveway, right? He wears, crew socks, so we can forgive him for some things. But my whole life I've had this great black role model in my life. But then I try to ask questions, and I have a hard time asking him because I don't want to upset that relationship.
You're being responsible with your words.
So I want to ask now, we
Doesn't
talk.
help that you look like you're in the Third Reich.
I'm not even going to take the hat off. But then if you talk about there's no power. Well, we were talking about Charlotte, and you said the black activist judge. Well, in Charlotte, it's not just the black activist judge. It's the DA that's black that instituted those policies. It's a black mayor. So could we at least agree before the civil rights movement and now, do blacks have more or less institutional power?
There's been some bad and some good that came
We have
along
less
with the civil
institutional
rights
power,
movement.
but
Before the civil rights
but you know what we don't have?
Well,
we,
No, we
as
more.
a community, we don't have the unity.
Well, here's the problem we have.
So
We have
the last thing I want to ask,
I want to ask you a question before you say the last thing you want to
It
ask.
kind of all throws together, and I'll just let you go.
Okay, go ahead.
Why was the black community one of the fastest growing economic demographics in the country? Why were there tons of fathers in the household? Black people were becoming great role models and integrating into society naturally. And now it's substantially worse
You know why it's
than
worse?
it was before Martin Luther King.
You know why it's worse?
Yeah.
Because of the fact that and I'm gonna say this openly because I can't get into the specifics, but I work for an entity that I was flabbergasted to learn this. All right, and what we do is we provide Medicaid, right? And this is a former campaign I worked on, and I was awestruck when I would have white females that would call, and they would call on behalf of their entire family, which included the husband, right? So many people say, well, the welfare queen is having more children because she gets more food stamps. Well, here's how it really works, and I can tell you this from firsthand knowledge, right? Let's say I've got a household of a wife and a husband, and I've got 4 kids. That household can earn up to $6,900, right? And here's what happens. Even if the husband is in the household, many times they're self-employed, so of course you can skew the numbers any way you want, and you and your family will continue to get full health care. a black mother is always told if there's a man in the house, number one, then it's a no-go, okay? Look at the Section 8 Housing Authority. Now, here's what happened, and you want to know what happened, what caused
I agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah, what caused the problem in Black America. What caused the problem in Black America is the fact that when the father became absent in the home, right? When he became absent in the home, it left the mothers to bear the brunt. So to answer your question, do we have more influence in some areas? Perhaps, but ask yourself this: do we have more influence economically? Because if you go back and you look, prior to the civil rights movement, let me tell you something right now. You had more black carpenters and tradesmen all over the place.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, that's right. But the problem is, again, if you agree with that, then you'll agree with the fact that if it had not been for the change in the systemic dynamics, that black men would still be in the home or what have you.
Right.
And the black family would still be doing it.
Federal government policy has not been instituted to help black people ever, but really to make them dependents of the state when they were doing just damn fine without the federal government that you want in more people's lives.
The only reason why
It's almost like reparations would be the same thing.
My question to that is, why is that a problem for white America? And we were already...
Because it's one country.
Because it's what?
We are one country, and the problems of one community...
We're not one country. We're an entity. We're a corporation. The United States is a corporation. It's not a country.
It certainly is. And with that attitude, we can never be a country. If that's the attitude that people have...
Because it's not a country. It was never built. It's written in the Constitution. It's a corporation.
That is definitely not written in the...
That is not written in the Constitution. That's just not true.
It's not a country. So what I'm saying is, when we were black people in our own communities thriving, like you said, doing our own thing, why was that a problem for white America? We were doing our own thing. Why did y'all come and burn down Wall Street, Black Wall Street? We had our thing going. Why is it an issue when we have our own thing going and we're minding our business? White America comes in and figure out a reason to, oh, that's wrong. Y'all are doing something wrong. That's not by the code. That's not by the rules.
No one here is trying to justify clear racist policies of the past or racism of the past. Of course that existed. No one was arguing that.
Here's the thing.
We're not arguing. I'm asking why.
It sounds like you're saying that you would want racial segregation. Because you're saying...
I don't want racial segregation. We asked for equality. We didn't get that.
But you're saying your own community doing your own thing.
Do our own thing.
Are you saying that we should be separate communities? That's what I'm asking. Are you saying we should be separate white and black communities? That's what it sounds like a little bit.
Separation may be the answer.
Okay. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your honesty.
Separation could be the answer.
But if a white person says that, is it racist?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I think that's completely fair. I think we should.
But if you're saying it in a narrative that we're a threat to you guys, so that's why we're going to be separate.
But you just said that white people are a threat to black people. That's what you just said. So why can't white people say it? And I don't think separation is the answer.
I didn't say that. I said you guys find a problem with everything that we do.
If separation is the answer,
reparations, come on with it.
So, who gets the reparations?
The whole black
American descendants of slavery.
The people that have been wrong for so many years.
America.
The government that's taking from us.
Hey, Ukraine. I ain't never personally asked
you don't have to tell me twice.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like, why are we paying that?
Right, so
I agree with you. How about we pay none of it and let people make their own decision?
You would just go back to reparations. That's the system.
To answer the question of who should pay,
Yeah.
the federal government should be on the hook for some of that. But every single company that benefited from chattel slavery, all the insurance companies, all the freight companies, all of those companies that existed then, that still exist now in some name, shape, or form, they should have to pay into that because they all profited for it. Just think about this. You insured a slave. When you bought a slave, you got insurance on that slave. That insurance company made money off of that. And they built up into
what percentage of the workforce in the United States do you think were actually slaves here in this country? Because that might.
I don't know what the percentage was, but I know all the hard work. I know who did all the hard work.
No. I know. You know what? You just said the railroads. You just said the railroads. Why aren't the Chinese immigrants asking for reparations?
Because they've already been gifted what they were going to give.
You did what?
We did it for them.
You did it full?
For them.
No, the Chinese built the railroads. The Chinese were slaves. They built the railroads.
We did that for them.
No. The Chinese were the majority of the slaves building railroads.
Now, on
they
the
didn't
railroad,
get reparations. They don't want it.
Well, I tell you what. Next time we'll have you a Chinese dude in here so you can ask him that. I don't give I'm talking about black people.
Can you guys deal with the
I'm talking
straight
about
hair like
black
that?
people.
Yeah, actually, yeah. That's another misconception that we get all the time too.
We can cut any kind of hair, but we're talking about what black people. Hold on. We talking about where the money's supposed to come from. It's companies that are trillion-dollar, billion-dollar companies that started in the 1600s, 1700s, that are still around, and they benefited and profited immensely from that.
What if it's a company that never had slaves?
That.
Should they pay reparations?
No, not that the company had slaves, but we had companies that insured slaves. You had companies that transported slaves.
But what if it's a company that did none of it? Should they pay?
No, if they didn't have anything to do with chattel slavery, no, they
Right.
shouldn't.
Neither
but
did
the
I.
companies that should.
But let me say this.
But your
I mean,
grandfather,
but you understand the point?
But if your grandfather was here in the United States, I don't know. You said you from Canada. I don't know. We not worried about it. We worried about the people.
What if your
that were here.
grandfather was a slave owner and mine wasn't?
My grandfather was.
What if he was? But my point is, what if he was? Because
my grandfather was a sharecropper in Plaquemine, Louisiana, in a little small town called Bayagula. So he was 2 generations removed from slavery. So I know I have a root in slavery.
Okay.
Somebody
what if
owned
I have
my
no root in slavery?
great-great-grandfather.
What if I have no root in slavery?
Well, you don't owe nothing. You don't owe anything. Your grandfather, if your grandfather from Canada, he wasn't down here owning slaves.
Okay,
he
I'm
don't
just trying
owe
to.
nothing.
So
If
then
your
people who didn't
grandfather was
own,
down here telling
we
niggas
don't
what
pay
to do,
reparations.
he owe money.
But Steve,
You know what I'm saying?
Here's what I'm telling you, though. Hold on a second. Here's what I'm telling you. If you're to go through the numbers, so do we agree? If I have no connection to slavery whatsoever, that I don't owe.
You still
Me.
You don't.
We
You
agree.
don't.
Okay.
You
So
don't.
do you realize that you could take all the white people in this country, and if you're going to add up everyone where you could actually trace the lineage to slave owners or had any involvement, you would end up with maybe 2 or 3%. 2 or 3% of white people in this country.
There go them numbers.
You
There
could
go
guess
them
their
numbers.
entire
You
salary.
throw out.
It
There
wouldn't
go
give you
them numbers.
reparations.
There go them
Most of us have nothing.
Somebody did it.
Can I fairly-
Somebody did.
Yeah,
And somebody
Africans
owed.
sold them into slavery.
Somebody owed.
It's still going on right now.
Somebody owed.
There are more slaves on earth right now than ever. Did you know that?
Steve, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. We're not gonna really get to the heart of it. Let me ask you this. Are you aware of what's going on with McDonald's right now?
McDonald's, the company?
Yeah, McDonald's the company.
I'm aware they can't get my fillet of fish right anytime I go.
Let me tell you what's really happening. I got a friend of mine who currently has 5 McDonald's locations, right? So there are many times he says, Cedric, sometimes I've got to get up at nighttime to go and check, even if the chiller goes out, right? So I said, man, why is that so? What's really happening? He said, Cedric, what happens is there are most black franchisees, right, that own these McDonald's. He said, we have to get them in the most low-performing areas, right? Never mind the fact that we make the same investment up front to purchase one of those McDonald's, right? So when you talk about that, let's look at the systemic and institutional biases that are involved just in that. You tell me I got to pay you $1 million to get a McDonald's, right? Same thing as my white counterpart. But yet, I'm relegated to take a McDonald's in an area that's probably highly impoverished. I've got to keep coming up with all kind of gimmicks to keep the foot traffic coming through the stores. Where nobody talks about that.
Well, what
So
about
as
the
you
flip
can see-
side of it?
What happens on the flip side?
What about the flip side of it? What about the fact that you have the government that has grants that they invest in black-owned businesses that don't happen for white people?
Let me ask you this, Steve. It's funny you.
Does that even it out?
But no. But here's
Because that exists.
Here's something you keep saying. You say that these grants exist for black people, but let me ask you. a
Okay,
question.
but my
How much
point
of
is
it actually
both sides of that coin, right?
Yeah,
That
okay.
exists for a
So we'll
reason.
go there.
Why? What's the reason?
The reason is based on what he's saying. That's why it's an
Right, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you use his example of the McDonald's,
Okay.
what would be the reason for relegating the black owners to the low
Well, first
income
off,
neighborhoods?
I don't know. I'm not able to verify that all that's factual.
But that's-
I know. Were you
I'm just
told you
saying,
could only open here in nice?
Huh?
Were you told you could only open here in a nice?
Well, this is Steve's shop, but no.
Okay. Okay. But my point is,
But see, you have
it's
to
not just
understand
McDonald's.
something. Before
My
you
point
answer
on the
that
flip
question,
side,
you have to
though,
understand something. There's a difference in McDonald's or what have you.
Yeah,
Because the way that structure,
McDonald's
the way
has a
that
whole
hierarchical
different
structure
I
runs,
get it.
they will designate you certain areas or what have you that you will be awarded a location in. You just don't have the right to say, okay, I'm paying $1 million.
That's the same for everyone. That's the same for everyone. I know a guy. Well, he just died not too long ago. He had a bunch of which I don't know how they're still around. It's disgusting. But
Neither do I.
He had. That's awful. I have never had a good meal at. But he had to be in certain too because they had to displace his franchise investment, right? That's part of it, where he was like, this one place is killing me, but as long as I get this spot, when I average out the 4 spots, okay, I can turn a profit. So this isn't unique to the black community. What is unique is investments from the federal government and state government into black-owned businesses to rectify it that white people don't get. So it's not enough. So what would be enough?
Because of historical injustices that have been done to impede black businesses.
So it's not enough now, but what would be enough?
You have to ask yourself, why would they do that? Why would they pay that?
What's the number?
Oh, because conditions historically.
What's the number, right? Public Department of Education, Great Society, Model Cities program, black businesses, Pell Grants, Affirmative Action, DEI. It's not enough. What's the number that's enough?
Once again, just like we said about the civil rights movement, about the education and all that, you can do certain things in the name of doing the right thing, but you do it wrong. So
what's the number?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't personally have an answer to that question.
One moment, just one second. Would you agree that if a young person who has no connection to slavery whatsoever, you probably need a number for them? Otherwise, they're probably going to be pissed.
They didn't need a number for Ukraine. Sure, they paid them same taxes. They didn't need a number for how much
You're
we were going to pay.
talking about reparations to a young person, right? In the name of sins of forefathers. My point is, what's the number? Because the number now is trillions of dollars. I get it. The government screws everything up, and I will agree on that. What's the number? You're sitting down right now with a 22-year-old white kid.
Give my daughter $15 million and we'll call it square.
$15 million?
$15 million apiece. We'll call it square. That's for me and for them.
And $15 million, okay.
$15 million. Look, since a lot of people don't care about their taxes, add an extra 2% to what you pay in taxes. How about that? 2%. That's a number.
2% for how long?
Let's see. How long it was?
So 2% only for white people who have a connection to slavery at their forefathers, right?
How long were we in slavery?
You'd end up with no money.
200 and...
You'd end up with zero money. You'd each end up with about $14.99.
You keep letting our people off the hook,
but that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the government paying taxes. I'm not talking about just people who are responsible. Once again, I'm not responsible for anything happening in Ukraine, but I'm paying for it.
I agree.
So why should that rationale not transfer to this?
Because it's rationale.
It's not when the United States is the people who perpetrate.
Well, that's why I need to ask the number, because if you're talking about more than $15 per black person, you're talking about trillions of dollars.
Right, but if we're going to be a part of the same country, like Lane said, we're going to all be a part and members of the same country. Well, we have to take on what comes with that. What comes with that is historically, every time like Chris said earlier, every time black people have achieved en masse, it's been torn down. No. And then you get to a point
where you're talking about the riots,
Then you get to a point where you're like, I can mention there's several black communities that's under lakes. There's one that's under Central Park in New York. Like there's plenty. But my point is, then you get to a point where you say, okay, we're gonna do this in the interest of justice. But then redlining and all that stuff happens, and then the prison industrial complex, all of that stuff that happens that adds to the wrong of it. It gets mixed in and say, well, yeah, we tried, and you should just be happy with it.
Here's the problem. What you just said, it was the rhetoric and the reasoning behind catch and release, doing away with the three-strike policy. You point to New York. You got a black mayor and crime got worse.
Because he's a criminal.
And because you got 30 million people living in
a white guy before him. He was grabbing every guinea intern.
And probably the white guy that put him in his spot.
Okay, so it's worse. In other words, it's worse, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the prison industrial complex. That's why that guy was out 14 times.
But I'm saying that's also why you have less fathers. That's why you have less fathers in the home. So redlining and the prison industrial complex is the two main caveats to less fathers in the home.
We've done the opposite of the prison industrial complex. Violent offenders are being released into society and committing crime in record numbers right now.
And nonviolent offenders are being held on petty charges.
No, they're not.
I've personally done the numbers on
it. How did that guy get out after 14 times? George Floyd 9 times. Do you realize 11 times arrested is the average murderer?
And you got people in there for weed charges that's in there for...
It's not a thing. It's less than 0.5% of federal penitentiaries.
And that's the thing. When you tell somebody that personal knowledge don't matter because the stats matter more, I personally know this. I know somebody right now that's in jail for small but I know somebody else that did some big and they out.
Small, keep defining small. So he had a joint on him?
Selling weed.
He's in prison right now because he had a joint.
But a small amount.
One time he got caught selling. One time a small joint he was selling.
No,
let's talk about small things. Let's talk about it. What is it really?
That's what I'm saying. If you want to frame it in the one-time small joint, that's a straw man argument. I'm saying.
What is he in for?
I don't know how much he had, but it was.
And one time?
It wasn't. Yeah, it was one time.
He got caught one time selling.
No, I don't know. It wasn't his first time. No.
Okay, so he got caught multiple times. Yeah. And he was selling weed.
But every time wasn't the same thing.
Do you know how many people die from lace weed?
I don't.
You know about the fentanyl problem in this country?
Yeah, I do know about fentanyl.
You know that most people aren't trying to get fentanyl, right?
But
weed itself never killed anybody.
I'm about to say fentanyl ain't our thing.
No, what I'm saying is, do you realize why trafficking drugs is a problem? You said a little thing. Can I tell you that if I had a white friend who was caught trafficking drugs, and I don't think weed should be outlawed, by the way, it's bullshit. Just to be clear. But if I had a white friend who was arrested the umpteenth time for selling a brick of weed, I would go, yeah, that makes sense. We would expect it.
Not for weed.
Of course.
Not for weed.
Selling weed, yeah. Selling a giant brick of weed multiple times, yes. Yes,
and
those are choices.
And at the same time, I know people personally that like, you got dudes out here like selling all kinds of other shit. I ain't gonna even put names on it, but you got dudes out here selling all kinds of other shit, and they free. They've been arrested a couple times too, but they back out.
But at what point do we say, hey, you know what? Once you've been arrested for trafficking, for selling drugs, if you do it again, that's kind of on you.
Cocaine, man, we'll let you back out for cocaine. Oh, meth, don't worry about it. Sit in the pen for a couple years.
You said a little thing. That's not a little thing.
Weed? Oh no, 8 to 9 years, you done.
Okay, how about this? Someone who goes out and commits multiple crimes and felonies, if we do doesn't get any reparations. Because the white kid who didn't break the law, who never had any slaves and his forefathers, shouldn't be paying for someone who's a serial offender. Could we do that math? Would that be fair?
No.
Nope? Okay.
Nope.
Absolutely.
And the reason why, once again, because you're
trying to find some common ground, because that white kid...
And I'm trying to tell you, you're trying to start the starting point right here when you're not factoring in what happened to get that kid in that low-income, impoverished environment that created the criminal that he ended up being.
Oh my God, this is what we're doing. It's not crime, it's poverty. Then why do poor white people not commit violent crime at the same rate?
They do.
No, they don't.
It's just usually different types of crime.
No, they do not.
They do.
It's a fact, dude.
Y'all just shovel them all
They
in the
just
trailer
different
park,
types of
act like
they
they
just
don't
different
exist.
types of
No,
crime. And then they go off.
We don't shovel them in the trailer park. They steal.
They go off in the hills and live amongst the rest of the toothless hillbillies, but they do.
You don't hear it.
Yeah, they just don't.
We're talking about statistical realities.
There's no cameras over there.
The young white male, when the young white male is the real threat to America as it stands.
You know what? You're right. I agree. You're right about that. Because young white males are going to be the majority with guns, and if you keep telling them that they're fucking criminals and they should pay for people's bad decisions, you don't want to see them angry. Because they've never been angry. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at young men, and they're way, way more angry than I ever was.
Well, if they're that angry, why they couldn't? If
they're getting their ass kicked.
If they're that angry, why are they only killing each other in their communities? When's the last time you? I mean, how many? Let's look at recently.
That's a good question. Why are they not killing black people?
No, you know.
Why are young white people not?
Here's the point: because they're able to understand that these are not the problem. They're not. Listen, they're able to understand that. You know what? Perhaps I've been looking at it and I've been taught wrong. Maybe the problem lies with the person who I've been looking up to for all my guidance. Because listen, I mean, think about it. Even with the most, and let me tell you this, and I'm going on record as saying this. I don't care who you are and what your political dissidence is. There's no justification for going out taking the life of someone. Just because you have a different opinion of mine doesn't mean I'm going to get angry enough to say I'm going to go out and shoot you, right? When you go, when everybody asks me, because I got people who ask me, man, what did you think about this incident with Charlie Kirk? I say, you know what? People are not going to want to talk about it. I say, but this here was really a situation where this kid, more than likely, wasn't angry because of what was happening in black America.
No, he wasn't. That wasn't.
He was angry because of the fact that Charlie Kirk had a different opinion about people who are homosexuals. You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that was the cause that I believe in my mind personally that led him to say, you know what? This has got to be stopped because of the fact this guy is talking about someone who I love, okay? So let's talk about that. That crime really probably could be looked at more as a crime of passion versus a political outcry for difference. You understand?
No, it's political assassination. But here's one thing we can all agree on, right? The guy who shot Charlie Kirk, okay, his roommate, his lover, was a dude who was claiming he was transitioning to a woman. You're just fucking gay at that point,
You're just gay. Let's call it for what it is.
Right?
Yeah, you're just gay.
Can we all agree on that? It's like, no, you're going. He's not even a chick yet.
My question is, like, out of that tragedy, why did the next day black communities have to get threats?
They did.
Yes, they did. Southern University.
You're talking. You're talking to the wrong guy, pal.
No, I'm just asking.
I can tell you who got the
Southern
threats.
University in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
I'm personally tied to that school.
No, you know who got the threats? Let me
Southern
explain.
University got one.
You're turning this into a race thing where I agreed that it's not. But let me tell you something. Every single vigil, every single memorial, where, by the way, both black and white conservatives tried to mourn peacefully their own, desecrated, attacked, assaults, even in war, they let you bury your dead. And that's because of radical LGBTQAIP. That's not a race thing at all, but it's the same wing that's pushing reparations. So when you're linking arms with them, we need to hear you disown those people, too.
So here's the thing. There's a
those
large
two problems should not be tied together.
Hold on, let me finish.
Joy Reid
There's
does.
a large contingent of black America that does disown them. They don't speak for us.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, on the right, there's the Jared Taylors and the all of these different people, these super Christian nationalist dudes, I don't see nobody on the right separating themselves from him.
Well, we don't need to because Richard Spencer and David Duke voted for Biden and Harris. Sorry, David Duke endorsed Jill Stein.
Richard Spencer, though.
What I'm saying is white supremacists don't vote Republican. They vote Democrat.
Jared Taylor did. And he encouraged all of his people to.
Jared Taylor is not the, first off, he's not in charge of the KKK or like that. He's one who's talked about race and IQ. And I don't know that he did vote for Donald Trump. But I do know that actually
people, the Patriot Front and all of them dudes subscribe to that.
There's nothing that's conservative about white supremacy. That's why they don't vote conservative. They vote Democrat. They're socialists. But the issue here that we're talking about is, again, I agree with you on Charlie Kirk. It's not political. That's why I'm going, I don't think that you realize you pivoted it into a race issue and said black people were more at risk.
Well, you just asked why we didn't separate ourselves from the
extremists.
No,
I
and
said
I'm saying,
after.
why don't y'all separate yourselves from the extremists?
Well, of course we do.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, they suck.
I haven't seen that. I personally haven't seen that.
We all do. It's never enough.
I pay attention to all that stuff.
We all do. Donald Trump did. He was still able to raise. He said, I'm not talking about white supremacists and neo-Nazis who are horrible and should be condemned totally. The media cut it out. Did you know that?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. You probably heard he said there were fine people on both sides, right?
I heard that clip.
Right before that, he goes, look, I'm not saying white supremacists are neo-Nazis who should be condemned totally, but outside of that, you had on this monument argument, fine people on both sides.
And you had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly.
Why do you think the media lied to you?
But if he said if that's true, then let me ask you a question.
It is true. I can show you the clip.
Well, why did he not sue those media networks like he said when the interview with Kamala Harris was edited?
He did, and he won.
Well, why was that not publicized?
Why do you think? You think the news agencies want to publicize their losing?
That was going to be my next point. Is media does what it does on both sides.
No, the media is incredibly left.
That's the point.
If you line up the
we
media,
always have is because when one person says, well, there's problems on your side too, you say, well, no, you dismiss those, and you say, we're just going to point to your problems.
No, name me one right-wing source of media. Name me one outside of Fox News.
Acknowledging y'all's.
Name me one outside of Fox News. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, CNBC, MSNBC. Local. Name me one outside of Fox News that's conservative. You can't.
Breitbart.
That's not a mainstream outlet. Breitbart. Then we could go Salon. Then we could go HuffPo. For years in this country, ABC, NBC, CBS. Now you go CNBC, MSNBC, CNN.
And once again, all of them are left. Shit. All of them got their shit.
All of them are left.
Yes, all of them got their shit.
New York Times, Washington Post. Go through them. Right? We have to agree on that. Hey, that's why you were lied to.
But that's the thing. People lose the ability to think critically, think for themselves, and they just lean whatever way the publication or the platform is telling them.
Right.
Now it's up to people that run these platforms and publications to be responsible with their words and how they're leading people. But you got one half of the country that's purely led to think that these people are bad, and then that's all it is. It's just
I think they're bad. I think people who cut out Donald Trump saying, not saying white supremacists and who should be condemned. I think the media that cut out on January 6th, where he said, of course, make your voices heard peacefully, patriotically, but peaceful. You have to be peaceful.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
And they cut that out. I think that media is bad.
Statement when this is the same guy who says if you want your country, come down to D.C. and fight like hell or not.
He did in that same speech. He said, "Fight like hell, peacefully, has to be done peacefully." You know who else said fight like hell? Kamala Harris.
But that's the biggest
Joy
argument.
Reid.
How can you have a peaceful fight? Somebody says, you know what? I'm going to tap you like that.
We're gonna act like fight like hell is not an expression. Oh, come on, you're smarter than that. Fight like hell is an expression. Joy Reid uses it. Kamala Harris uses it. Biden uses it. Barack Obama used it. Every single one. It's all attributed to violence to Donald Trump. That's bullshit.
All of those platforms, networks that you and Travis just so eloquently exchanged.
Mine was not eloquent.
How many of those are ran by black people? None of them. We don't control shit. Once again, why we always get the blame for everything? We don't control nothing.
What percentage of commentators? Are black?
I don't know. I don't watch mainstream.
It's about 25%, despite being 12% of the population.
But they still working on a platform that is not controlled or ran by black people.
So
we don't discriminate.
So when you lay out responsibility,
is Van Jones not black? Joy Reid not black?
He black.
Sonny Hostin not black?
Black, yes.
They're allowed to express their opinion.
Is he on the Van Jones network? Is Van Jones on the Van Jones network?
numbers were dog shit. That's why she got fired.
Is
just
he
like
on
Jimmy
the
Kimmel.
Van Jones Network?
So
No,
now
he's
Jimmy
not.
Kimmel's numbers are bullshit, but nevertheless, though, you had a national outcry where ABC had to retract and bring him back. I mean,
Someone from the left also shot up an ABC affiliate.
Huh?
Someone from the left also shot up an ABC affiliate, so that was a big deal.
See, again, Steve, we can go backward and forward all day. The broader context is the fact that, you know what? There is a part of white America that needs to acknowledge the fact that, look, even if reparations is not going to happen, because we damn well know it's not, right? At least stop preventing us from moving forward. Listen, do you know?
I don't know how we are.
Do you know right now, in the venture capitalist world, 97.3% of their money, their lending, goes to actual white firms. Now, there was a movement in Georgia where these women were given $20,000 to other women contestants because they had a little small minority component over there, right? That went to court, and they said you cannot do that because it is discrimination, but nobody ever challenged the VC, okay? So you explain to me, now again, we're within our own trying to build up one another, and you turn around and say it's discrimination. See, it's funny how there's an outcry whenever we do the exact same damn thing.
You don't do the exact same thing. Crime statistics aren't the same thing.
But you're talking crime.
Because you know what what I'm talking about? No, but what I'm talking about is there are young white kids who don't get good breaks either, right? They have some tough breaks, and they don't commit crime in record fucking numbers. And blaming them for this country.
There's a lot of black people that don't commit crime in record numbers.
Statistically, it's not the same thing. There's most of them. Most black people don't.
Right.
But a young white kid is 12 times as likely to be murdered by a black male than the other way around. In other words, white people, like you said, we're not going in and killing black people. That it is absolutely a fact.
That so hard to
What if it is true, guys?
Yeah.
What if that stat is true?
Where is this happening?
The real Earth. What if it's true? Hey, what if I could show you the clip and Donald Trump said, one second. Look, I'm the fucking minority here. I get it, right? I'm outnumbered. But what if Donald Trump actually said what I just said? And why don't you know? What if the stat I'm giving you is true? And why don't you know? At a certain point, hey, if you want to blame institutional,
you publicize everything.
If you want to blame a systemic, institutionalized, right, wrongdoing, maybe you should look at you guys being misinformed.
The whole thing is fucked up. That's my point. The whole
about
thing
Donald
is
Trump now ordering the military to go in and
12-time murder rate.
Black
That's a
citizens.
fact.
Is that misinformation as well?
What was that?
I say, is that misinformation?
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Is that misinformation when you look at Donald Trump ordering the ICE to go into primarily black cities along with the FBI? Is that misinformation? When you talk about New Orleans,
what else can we say about those cities? What else can we say about those cities?
Question, Steve. I'm asking a question. Is that misinformation? See, you
the way you're presenting it, yeah.
No, Steve, I asked you.
Is it because they're black, or is it because they're sanctuary cities?
See, that's
illegal aliens.
another bullshit term that you guys have adopted on the right. Come on, man.
That's what I'm saying.
No, it's an actual policy.
It's always a
It's an actual
dismissive.
policy where they don't deport and they actually subsidize illegal. You hear about Aurora, Colorado?
Steve, I'm gonna share something
I'm with
with
the
you, and I
Latino-
hope I don't lose my job behind what I'm about to share with you. Let me tell you something.
I hope
right
you don't
now.
either.
Let me tell you something right now. There is a big push with this immigration bullshit that is placating the public. Because let me tell you something. When they come to this country, the minute they hit the shore, the first thing they do is call and say that I want Medicaid. And guess what? By law, there is a record called non-citizen emergency expedited Medicaid. We have to give it to them. All right. So if you want to turn around and talk about immigration, then you got to talk about the corporations and stop incentivizing this shit to happen.
And
all right?
nobody's
'Cause when
asking why they
come
gotta
in,
pay that.
nobody says that. No, nobody talks
I agree
about
with you.
that,
Why did Kamala
right?
Harris say that illegal aliens can't get Medicaid?
But the problem
I agree with
existed.
you.
The
It's a
problem
lie.
existed
They
long
can't.
before Kamala Harris, though.
No, what I'm telling you is that the left. Why do you think they have a government shutdown right now?
But that's what I'm saying.
Right now, because the
We're
left
at a
wants
government shutdown because of healthcare. It got that damn thing.
healthcare for who's going to be beneficiary? Illegal aliens.
Yeah.
But see, you say that, but
You shouldn't pay for that. I agree,
that's
right?
Just like
Someone
saying
doing it illegally.
illegal aliens can vote. You damn well know they can.
Of course they can.
No, they can't.
How do we do
many
it?
instances have you seen?
How many states have voter ID?
Are you kidding me? Look, man, I'm from Louisiana originally. Okay, when I go to vote, damn it, the first thing they ask me to do is, please let me see your ID.
Yeah, how
You
many
show me-
states have voter ID?
Okay, then you tell me the number. You got the number.
It's over 20 that don't.
So over 20 states that don't.
We were told illegals couldn't get on Medicaid, but here they are.
But I just told you that I just told you that.
I agree with you.
That is something that has been going on in this country for damn years. Because you know why?
So
You
let's
gotta
deport
ask
them.
yourself, who's the corporate benefactors? If you're gonna do that, then make sure that.
Well, you know why? Do you know about the census rule change?
No.
And by the way, this actually directly harms the black community, specifically the black community in a lot of ways, because you have a much more comparable percentage of the population to like Hispanics, right? More than white people. You're close, depending on the state. The census rule that they wanted to change, which you can thank Donald Trump for reversing, was going to count people in the household whether they were legal or not. Do you realize that would actually change district seats, voting patterns, and the electoral college? Why should someone here illegally be able to be
Electoral
counted?
college does need to be changed.
My point is, it would have been changed based on illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
People who, and you know what else is pretty, hey, there's also a pathway to citizenship from the Democrat Party. So if you vote for us, you're going to get your free shit. And you know who pays for it? All of us. And you tend to have more Hispanic people in the black community who are there illegal. You live in closer proximity. My woman is Hispanic. She's Latina. Of course, she's nuts. But she'll tell you, because she has family members who are here legally, they're not at risk. Sanctuary cities are a problem.
What about the companies that employ these illegal immigrants? See, they keep
Punish them all.
Yeah, because once again,
Punish them
I
all.
want somebody.
Are you going to punish the hand that feeds you? Come on.
Hold on, I'm asking a question.
Yeah.
The companies that employ these illegal aliens, they're profiting not only by the normal margin, by an increase because they're paying less to these people. But one thing, living in Texas and Louisiana, who gonna pick that fruit?
Oh, plenty of white people.
Who gonna pick?
Plenty of white people.
Man,
Plenty of white people.
Y'all white people ducked and ran from picking that
Didn't
cotton.
you see,
That's why
didn't you
they
see
went
that?
after them slaves.
Didn't you see that? There was Ohio, I think it was Toledo, the meat packing plants. Once they said we can't hire illegal aliens, it was a line around the block of white people. Do you realize that the enrollment in the trades has gone up?
They was inside. I said out there in that sun. Who gonna get out there in the sun and get them strawberries?
Hey,
who gonna get them peaches and them apples?
You know
out
who did
them
that?
trees?
Me.
Ain't no white people out
I did
there
that.
doing that.
Did you know I did that?
Ain't no
That was
white
one of my
people out
jobs.
there. Ain't no white people out there.
I did a part-time job working in an orchard, and then I worked construction. Why wouldn't we do it?
How many white people? You might have been out there as
That's
an
what I'm saying.
individual.
It's just 'cause it happens
How
once.
many of them was out there? I done drove by them
They weren't
fields.
out there
I done
'cause it's
drove by
slave
those
labor.
fields and seen them Latinos out there.
I
That's all that's
I
out
never
there.
thought I would
That's
see a
hard
black
work.
man advocate for modern slavery.
That's hard
Because that's what
work.
that is. That's modern
hard
slavery.
work.
That's
hard
modern
work.
slavery.
They should be paid more for the work. That's hard work, man.
They shouldn't be here
But somebody
illegally.
got to get that cabbage out there. Somebody got to get them sweet potatoes out the ground. Somebody got to do that. White people not going to do that.
Of course we will.
Once again, when the work got hard, that's when they went and got slaves.
Yeah, white
They
people
tried
don't know
the
hard
Indians,
work.
The Indians broke down. They went and got black people. They got the Chinese. They conned them in doing the railroad, like you said. But then when white work get hard, white people ran from that kind of work. So if you can't tell me in 2025 you gonna go find one of them new generation upset white boys that's gonna get out there and climb that tree
I'm
and get
telling you,
them apples out of it.
it's a statistical
That's not
reality.
happening.
I'm
That's
telling
not
you.
happening. That's not
And hey, what do you think happens when people coming from the third world aren't working here illegally as modern day indentured servants, slaves? What do you think happens when they're not there? Wages go up. Why would you pay more when you can have someone who's off the books, you can threaten with deportation, pay him dog shit? By the way, that hurts your wages too.
I'm saying if you're gonna have those people, you got to pay them more because that is somewhat a form of slave. That's some hard work out there. That's some hard work out there. But the companies that employ the Tropicanas, the Del Montes, the Libby's, all those companies that get the people, somebody got to get them green beans. All those companies are profiting from that cheap labor. Somebody got to pay. So if they're profiting from that,
I agree.
Those are the companies that need to be punished.
They should be
need to
punished, and
You
the
don't
government that
know about
incentivizes it should be punished.
whoever
Government
said
is
that's
incentivized it because they're stealing
that
food
needs
from
to
your
be
kid's
done.
mouth.
The borders
We can
need to
agree
be
on that,
protected.
hopefully.
I'm all with that. But if you gonna let them
Yeah.
in here and somebody gonna profit off of it, make them folks have to spit that bread out. Because if you punishing somebody, if you making that kind of profit off that illegal labor, you got to make it so punitive that I don't need to get that illegal labor because it's killing my profit.
But if we apply it, and I agree with you, punish them, right? I agree with you 100%. Wouldn't we also apply it to sanctuary cities that have harbored illegal aliens and prevented the deportation? By the way, you know Barack Obama
a
deported.
sanctuary city, that's a city where you can come if you're an illegal alien.
And they will protect you from deportation.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Exactly. That's
See,
where
I was
should
born
go.
here. I was born here, so I don't give a damn about nobody that's illegally over here. If you ain't supposed to be over here, you got to deal with it.
I agree.
You got to deal with it.
I agree, and anyone who's
Yeah, I'm
fostered it should
legally
be
here.
punished.
My kids was born here.
Yep.
My mom and my daddy was born here. My grandparents was born here, and they.
Yeah.
So we here. So if you're not supposed to be here and you don't go through the legal channel, you got to deal with the consequences of that.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, I agree.
I'm not here for harboring nobody.
I am for legally having a path to citizenship.
Now, legal,
Right.
that's
A
different. Legal
pathway,
immigration
but-
is different.
I agree.
Legal immigration is different.
And by the way, it shouldn't be easy. It shouldn't be easy.
You should have to pass some tests.
it is kind of.
You should have to pass some tests to
it's a
prove
lot of-
that you're going to be here
Because
and you're going to contribute.
Once again,
Yeah, I agree.
Once again, if I just went to Montreal. If I wanted to move to Montreal, I'd have to do some shit.
Oh yeah.
To like it'd take like 3 years for me to officially become a citizen, and there's a lot of stuff that I had to do in them 3 years.
Yeah.
To
But it
prove
should
to
be hard.
them
It should
that
be
I'm
hard.
worthy of citizenship.
Well, it's even worse when people hear. This is why I say people don't realize that America is actually they provide more opportunities than any other country. You don't get assurance maladie in Quebec unless you've been employed and paying taxes. I think unless they changed it, I haven't been there since 2004, 3 years. So in other words, you do not receive anything comparable to EBT, SNAP, any of that, unless you are a tax-paying citizen with a record. They don't let people come there, white or black. Also, they are way more racist than America. People don't realize that. French Canadians, yeah,
gotcha.
They're super racist. And the reason, like, my experience has been that Americans are the least racist people of all the countries. That includes Europe, that includes Canada. People think Canada's awesome, but French Canadians hate the Haitians because it's a French colony. They hate the Vietnamese. They're just awful.
That's what I was about to say. It's different pockets that they hate. They don't hate. They don't hate us, Americans.
Yeah, they don't like Americans.
I didn't experience that.
Yeah, they talk behind your back.
I experienced it. Well, that may
and it's bullshit too. They're jealous. They're jealous.
But they're gonna do that here too.
Yeah.
So.
No, I know. Yeah, no. Canada's a silly place where, again, it's bigger than the United States with a tenth of the population, and it doesn't have the same kind of diversity that we have here. I mean, when people point to Norway or these countries that have giant social safety nets, it's like take the population of Rhode Island. Hey, and I'm sure you could probably make it work better too if it was 100% black or 100% Nordic. When you have a cultural common ground, it's easier, right? We have a lot more pockets in this country than in places like Canada. It's a beautiful city to visit, though. I highly recommend it. To live there is awful. You want to pay 52% income tax and 14%. What was sales tax when you went? 14%?
Yeah, sales tax.
You know what's crazy about
Something
it?
like that.
You're taxed on tax. So you have a bill, they tax 7%, total it, and then tax another 7%.
I was about to say, they came and got some more money after we got back.
Yeah, that's socialism in Quebec. And I mean, I've buried relatives from their socialized health care.
Which is why we need to fight harder to preserve this country versus, because see, we keep going back because of our ethnic differences and our beliefs and what have you. We can never move forward. And right now, we are in the fight of our life as Americans. Because let me tell you something right now. There's a huge push to supplant that damn dollar. And if you think that dollar doesn't mean nothing, you watch what happens when it loses that reserve currency status. You'll see what it's like to have a goddamn currency that's worth nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got to we really got to reevaluate. Listen, we're not going to ever agree on every goddamn thing, but the one thing we got to agree on is that we are Americans, and to the rest of the world, whether you black, white, Republican, Democrat, Independent, or what have you, you know what? They still see you as American. All right. So since we're one and the same, let's figure out what we need to do to address the real goddamn problems. You know. Now, as far as it goes for the young white male, I can't speak on his frustration. I simply hope that, you know what, we don't repeat the damn mistakes of the past, because look where it's gotten us after all these hundreds of years. We got to move forward.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not asking you to speak for them. I'm asking you guys to consider listening.
Sure.
Because they're at a point where, I don't know if you know this, a lot of young white dudes have had some pretty fucking tough breaks and no advantages. And they grew up in an era. No. Look, everyone has it. Everyone has it.
Nothing about no poor disenfranchised.
But that's the disconnect, man.
Ain't nobody trying to hear that, man. That's real talk. That's real talk.
Well, real talk. 12 times the murder rate. You don't want to believe it? Fine.
I don't.
And that kid's not going to want to pay reparations.
You know what else on top of that?
Yeah.
I ain't scared. So you can throw them threats out there all you want.
I know you're not scared.
About what the young white man might do.
I know you're not scared because you're 12 times less likely to be the victim of a violent crime from a white person than he is of you. That's a fact.
No, I'm 12 times more likely to defend myself against some bullshit. So if the young white boy come with that bullshit, I'm gonna meet that bullshit with some bullshit.
A lot of white people going into black neighborhoods.
That's what I'm saying.
A lot of white boys going into black neighborhoods around.
And ain't nobody playing. Understand that?
Well, you guys, come on, real talk. You've never seen a white person come in solo into a black neighborhood and start a fight. I don't think you've ever seen it.
I don't see black people.
Let's be honest, guys. You're not afraid of young white kids.
Steve, you saw a white man going to
You are, correct me.
No, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm also giving you a flip side to that coin that you completely ignored.
No, because he said, I'll stop some bullshit from a white. I tell you, young white guys are afraid when they're surrounded by black guys.
Okay, but don't come around black guys.
I'm afraid when I'm surrounded by a bunch of white men. I'm just not
going
to allow my fear.
I'm not.
No, I'm not saying you.
Dude, I'm surrounded. This could be an entire tornado of black fists raining on me for saying the wrong thing.
Steven Crowder. I'm talking to the boy that you're talking about. The young white boy that
I'm not even saying I wouldn't deserve it.
I'm talking to him. If you're that scared of black people, don't come around black people.
They're not scared. They're tired of it.
Well, don't stay away from us.
Great.
You got your own areas.
Then don't ask them to pay for it.
And we're not
because once again.
So you want them to stay away but foot the bill.
So you got to do that with everything
and now
else
it's
in the tax code.
Now it's the boodle and nothing is safe. Stay away from us but pay for us. Do you realize that guy's going to hate
ignoring
you?
that other side of the coin. If we're going to do that, if we're going to give you that, then you got to go through everything and you got to give us the same thing. We're not going to pay for certain shit that we don't agree with.
Can I ask you something real talk? While we're having real talk, why do young black men fight in packs? Why would we see a World Star video?
Actually, I know personal experience. Young Asians fight in packs more than young black.
No, I'm talking about every time I tune in. When
I used to be a club bouncer, so
I'm talking about video after video of a defenseless person on the ground getting stomped by
social media.
five
That's
people.
conditioning. That's something somebody propped up that wants you to see that represents black folks.
So you
and
think
that's the problem.
you think it's equal across the board?
That's the problem. No, I think it happens in any community.
Do you think it happens more from young black men than young white men?
No, it gets amplified more from young black men.
Do you think young black men commit violent crime more than young white men? Let's laser in. Do you think
amongst each other? Yeah.
Do you think
not
that
amongst the populace?
you're saying you don't believe the 12 times rate? Do you believe that young black men commit wanton violence against white men more than white men do against black men?
No.
Okay.
No, I find that.
Then we're never going to find common ground or improve because it's a
You're
reality.
right, because you believe that.
No, I know that. And I'm listening to the kids who are living that. It would be like me telling you in 1960s to black kids going, you don't know, let me speak for you. You can't speak for those kids. It's what they're going through. Listen, I want to listen, but you guys need to listen to them too. This is not going to go well.
And I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. But I'm telling you, I'm just asking, while I'm hearing you say that young kid is feeling this way,
of course,
I'm asking you to tell that young kid, consider the people that came before him. Hold on. The reason why we're in some of these situations is because historically we've had to deal with this shit forever.
That's why he's getting his ass kicked at 7-11.
We didn't ask for none of this either.
That's why
we got here and had to deal with the historical ramifications of what happened
all across the country.
So
all across the country, it's a reality.
So when we're asking for it, it's invalid. But when he's asking for it, we supposed to listen.
Okay, 19 of the top murder cities in the country are blue districts with exponentially larger black populations than the rest of the country.
What's up, y'all?
Chicago, Baltimore, St. Louis, Detroit, where I'm from, Los Angeles. No, 12 times the rate. I don't know if they're random, but more random attacks.
In those cities, blacks are killing black people.
You can say it's not.
Black people are killing black people at way higher rates in those cities.
Sure they are, but they're killing white people at 12 times the rate that white people are killing black people. That's a fact.
I think if that were true, Steve, we'd have a national outcry and the government would bring all their forces.
You're about to get one. That's what I'm here to warn you about. You're about to get one.
Steve, that's what
You're
I'm
about
saying.
to get one, and I don't think you guys see it coming.
No,
it's coming.
I see it, but what I'm telling you is you're not gonna see the exact. You're trying to equate the black crime to the white. It's not the same crime. Because conditionally,
you're right. It's far more violent.
Culturally,
it's far
we're
more violent.
totally
You're right.
different. Culturally, we've had to
far
deal
more violent.
with generation after generation of struggle and resistance to oppression. We've had to deal with that conditioning over history.
Okay.
Y'all haven't. So there's less fight in you. You're right.
You tell that
There's
to a
less
kid in a
fight you. There's
wheelchair
more
who was
fight
getting
in
a
us.
pack of smokes.
Huh?
You tell that to a kid in a wheelchair for life who was getting a pack of smokes and was being white in the wrong neighborhood. See if that argument works, and then ask them to pay for reparations.
Unfortunate things happen.
Are people ever responsible for their own decisions?
Yes.
What I'm trying to tell you is young white people are going, we're tired of being blamed for racism when we're getting beaten up, we're getting killed, and we don't have any affirmative action or DEI, and they're saying we need to actually have a conversation here.
Okay, I hear you.
I don't know, go to World Star, go to BET, go to any single rap track.
With the blacks beating up the white people.
I've never seen this. Like,
But
where are these?
because it's not coming across your algorithm, because the system is going to show you stuff that relates to you.
Are we going to act like World Star is just a nightmare I had at some point?
Those young white kids are going to see stuff that relates to them and their point of view. So if they believe that they're being hunted, they believe that people are out to get them.
If you want to see one, go to the Spirit Airlines terminal.
That supports that. That's the algorithm. That's why I say stay off of social media. That's some bullshit. Stay off of social media.
It's not an algorithm.
Think for yourself.
I agree.
Live.
That's why I'm
experience
here.
out here. Talk to people that's different from you and talk to them and
I
figure
agree.
out where they're coming from.
I agree, but I don't hear a lot of
But you gotta
listening.
listen to them too.
I am listening. I don't hear a lot of listening to young white kids.
And I believe
You just say that's not true.
You go on
I
these
didn't
college
say that.
campuses,
I never
think you
said
do
that.
have a pulse of that generation. I don't doubt that. But what I want to think, in my estimation, this is what I've observed. We're the fuse for the fight that's inevitable. We're not necessarily the problem, but we're the fuse that's trying to get lit. See, there's a sect of white people that are trying to start fights or start a revolution against black people to fight the fight that they really want to fight against other white people.
Okay.
See, that's what keeps getting tossed to the side and covered up. See, we're just a few. Once again, there's not enough of us to make an imprint in this country if it popped off like that. There's not enough of us. So We're the trigger. That's why you see the random outbreaks of violence. When it is a lot of times white on black, it's to get the black people riled up and mad at white people, so that we can go and do something to negatively affect
That's why I say
a white community to get this party started.
All right.
Now, in the midst of them beating or trying to destroy us, now they can go fight the fight that they want to fight. Just like the thing with your man Charlie. That dude was mad about, like you said, he was in love with the transgender dude. He wasn't necessarily mad at Charlie, but Charlie was saying some things he ain't like. So he took it upon himself to kill this man for saying something that he didn't like. We didn't have anything to do with that.
I didn't say you did.
I know you did. I know you did. I'm not saying you did.
But a lot of people had.
No, they didn't.
And I'm gonna tell you. And
people
listen,
have not blamed Charlie Kirk on the black community.
That's the part right there.
You refuse to listen to anything that you
So
what I was saying.
You think white people are blaming Charlie Kirk's death on the black community?
It was precipitative. What happened was,
I'm listening.
after that happened, the two young men that went to Tennessee State set up in Charlie's, in his model, his MO, we want to have the debate. Illegal aliens got to do this, and DEI got to do this. Now, why would you go to a black college, which Charlie didn't do? That wasn't his thing. He was going to big PWIs, go and sit down with the big school. Why would these two guys go now, with the country in the state of upheaval that it is, go sit on this campus
with no permits?
With no permits to go have a debate with people that didn't know they were coming.
Why is that a problem?
It's a problem because, number one, you didn't get the permit. You didn't even go the proper route to do it. But secondly,
you knew what that was going to do.
At the time that
What is it going to do?
You were going to incite. I
go into liberal campuses. I go to lesbian colleges.
You were going to incite unrest.
This was Tennessee State University.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll tell you what. Let me go.
Tennessee.
We got a folding table in the back. I'm gonna take that table. I'm gonna go over here to this Jewish synagogue up here off the tollway, and I'm gonna go sit down and I'm gonna start saying disparaging things against them. Do you think I'm gonna be allowed to sit there and stay there? No. They're gonna escort me out of that building.
Well,
right?
sure. If it's private property, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So but are you saying they had an anti-black sign? These boys?
Those guys said illegal. It's something about illegal.
Deport all illegals.
So DEI is the devil.
Deport all illegals. DEI is wrong or something like that.
Yeah, DEI is the devil or DEI. But what they did that to go and try and incite that group of people.
No, they went there for the same reason I'm here to have a conversation.
That's white people going over there bothering black people.
But you see how
that's white people going bothering black. Let me ask you this before
they should get a permit. I agree. They should get a permit.
But before why they had their ass there the month before Charlie Kirk got shot? You know why? Because they didn't give a fuck about Tennessee State. They just wanted to try to go somewhere to incite some unrest.
Or maybe they went there because they want to have a Hold on a second. Would they talk with anyone who would sit down at the table?
Wait, who, those guys?
Yeah, would they?
I don't know. They didn't get to talk.
Well, that doesn't seem like incitement.
They ran them off the campus. But once again, the
Violently?
month before Charlie Kirk incident, they didn't have no interest in going there then. Because if they did, they'd have called and got them a permit.
Yeah, you should get a permit.
But
I tell you what, I've also gotten permits.
They did that just trying to get something started. Once again, you said you got your numbers, black people jumping on white people, causing harm. But that's white people going bothering black people that didn't have nothing to do with that. Trying to get a fight started over here with some people they really want to fight over there. But I'm going this route.
How about instead of fighting, you talk with them?
What? You know what? You get your permit. You come back, you announce that you're going to be here on Tuesday the 17th, and then we'll set up, and then you have that. You don't just show up in the midst of this. Once again, like he said, HBCUs are on high alert now. They're on high alert because of this. They got to be scared because you don't know.
Why are they on high alert?
Because
the black dudes.
Sorry, I can't.
Several of them got threatened the next day.
Okay. Yeah.
And they had to shut the campuses down.
Can we find some common ground? Do you understand that the threats against
what about the black man that got hung at the college?
Can you understand that the threats against
talk about that. I'm listening to you.
The threats against conservatives since then have been far worse in the black community. Would you agree with that?
I don't know, because I'm not a conservative, and I don't pay attention to the threats against conservatives.
Yeah, no.
But I do pay attention to the threats against HBCUs, especially Southern University.
Yeah.
And they received one after something that didn't have nothing to do with
from a race because they were black.
They received a threat directly related to the Charlie Kirk thing.
How so? I don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
That was the information put out. We received a threat to the campus relating to the Charlie Kirk incident, and we're shutting campus down. And it was 6 different HBCUs the next day that got the same threat.
Do you mean related to someone who would be agreeing with the shooter's ideology or Charlie Kirk's?
We don't know.
No. That's what I'm saying.
Doesn't that matter?
My question is, what does any of that have to do with anybody at an HBCU? Why is 6 HBCUs going on lockdown the next day behind what happened in Utah?
Well, every school was on lockdown, and so were churches.
Not every school.
Oh, yeah.
SMU wasn't on lockdown.
Right here, just the church had to go into lockdown. Is that a race thing?
SMU wasn't, though.
I don't know if SMU was. I know that they cleared out class for the day.
That goes there. They weren't on lockdown.
Do you really think that since Charlie Kirk, it has impacted the black community more than any other community?
I didn't say that. I just said, why are we getting anything?
You shouldn't be getting anything.
That's my question.
Charlie Kirk shouldn't be shot.
So my question is,
well, how is this? How is this relevant?
Well, because once again, that actually happened. It's real stuff that happens, and,
Sure.
and it creates other tensions that people start talking about. Like,
okay,
when the young man is found hanging on the campus a couple of days after that, like, there's all kinds of.
See, all that did was activate
It's terrible,
activate pockets and cells of unrest.
Different things start popping up. And,
I understand that. Yeah.
There's a lot, especially in like Tennessee. There's a lot of them backwoods militia boys that's waiting on some shit to pop off.
Nah, it's not even close.
Oh,
let me look. This is one thing that kind of I know pretty well. You know, Charlie Kirk was hunted. Charlie Kirk was hunted.
I believe
There's
that.
one other man as hunted as him, right? And it's me.
I agree with that.
And so, yes.
I agree with that.
You have to edit this, but there was literally a man arrested in Maryland last week who was coming for me, who had the means, the location, the ability, and a disturbing ties. So, I will tell you this. Conservatives, people like Charlie Kirk, who, by the way, he was maligned as racist. There wasn't a racist bone in his body, if you agree with him or not. And by the way, I disagree with him on a whole lot. The fomenting of racial division and hatred is, and also gender division and hatred, LGBTQ, throw it all in, right? But he was accused. Throw it up. But yeah, he was called a Nazi, he was called a fascist, a homophobe, a racist, and that's why people were inspired to kill him, because they thought he was hateful. That's why I'm having these conversations, because he wasn't hateful.
Right.
But he was hunted. Someone went out and said, I want to shoot a white conservative because of who he is and because of his views. And I'm number one on that list. I've had to be on the phone with the FBI. I've had to be on the phone with multiple intelligence agencies, because this is not, you're seeing the one that got through. There have been many attempts on Charlie's life and my life because of what we do here, having a conversation. And I think we can all agree that that's something that needs to be changed. But if you take that and go, and I've condemned it totally, just like Donald Trump with white supremacists, if that happens at HBCUs, it's awful. It shouldn't happen anywhere.
Right.
Also, no one should be kicked off of campus or beaten up, permit or not, for having a point of view. People should have a conversation.
They should have been kicked off campus.
So you should be kicked off by the administration. But here's the other thing that happens. Let me give you a flip side of that. SMU, TCU, UT, I've gone through the process. I've gotten permits. And then you've had students, sometimes they're black, sometimes they're lesbian, and they've complained and said, hey, we think this is hateful, and had to leave campus. And you know what that does? It puts me at risk. Because now I don't have the place secure.
Yeah.
Even though I had the right, but someone had an opinion that offended them.
But that's what I'm saying. Just like, if I say, okay, if I make a statement that says, man, white people have been giving it to black folks for a long time, somebody might take that and say that's racist. You shouldn't say that.
Sure.
I'm going to feel like historically I got a right to say that, because that's what America has shown me.
Yep.
And I'm not saying nothing against any particular white person. I'm saying in general, the white power structure has been giving it to the black folks in America for a long time.
You can say that.
So,
and you should never experience violence for it. I agree.
But there's certain places in time. Right. But I can say that in certain places in time that will incite violence. Because if I go out and say that in the middle of the cornfield festival, when I'm surrounded by people who don't look like me, and I say that, then I'm going to subject myself to their scrutiny and their ire. Like they're gonna be like, wait, what'd you say, boy?
And I would anticipate that.
I think you might get some racial epithets, and you might get an N-bomb. You might get the N-bomb here, but I don't think you get assassinated. I don't think you get assassinated.
Get out of here, it's gonna be some trouble.
Yeah, I know. We always know about the
Well, I think
racist
we
white
need to
guy.
look at that incident that happened with Charlie Kirk as a real wake-up call. And I'm going to tell you, unless we can really have an effective discourse when it comes to our differences of opinion, we're going to have a bad country moving forward.
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying.
I just don't think
people hear things and they hear it according to their conditioning, what they've been conditioned to believe. So if you hear me say, white people have been giving it to black people for a long time, and you've been conditioned to think that as a black man, I'm a certain type of person, well, you're going to lean this way. And you're going to categorize my speech as a certain thing. But if you free thinking and you clear thinking and you can think for yourself and say, well, let me examine what he said before I label him. Because that's what everybody quick to do, is label somebody as something.
Yeah.
Everybody got to be labeled as something. You got to be a leftist or rightist, or you got to be a conservative or whatever. It's like everybody's got a label.
Yeah.
If you think for yourself and say, you know what he said is actually, it ain't all the way wrong. He might have said it in a fucked up way. That's the thing that, once again, no disrespect to the dead, but that's what I give Charlie. Charlie said a lot of shit in fucked up ways sometimes to certain people.
Like what?
If you come from a certain black, like once again, if I'm on the phone with a customer service representative that's a moronic black woman, well, okay, I'm gonna hear that statement and saying, well, I get that you might think just anybody working in customer service may be moronic, but you didn't have to point out.
But what did he say that was messed up?
Moronic black woman. So to black women, it's gonna be a long way.
You're talking about that quote. So here's something that's important, right? Because Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Let's be clear about this, and we're both agreeing because people believed a lie. He never said black women were moronic. He never said that. He said it specifically about Ketanji Brown Jackson or Jackson Lee. 3 black women who said, "I'm here because of DEI." He said, "If you're saying, I agree. I don't think you're smart enough for that job." Because they're not great, in his opinion.
Yeah, but
he said, "I agree with your statement." He never said black. He had black women who worked.
The exact quote he used. I watched the interview where he was talking to this blonde lady. I forgot her name, but he
Megyn
said,
Kelly.
No, it wasn't Megyn Kelly. She's ugly. It was another one.
She's gonna see this.
I don't know. I want her to see it. She's anyway. He was on a video call side by side with a lady, and he said, if I'm on a customer service call with a woman and she's a moronic black woman, that's his exact words, bro. I'm not paraphrasing or nothing. I'm using his exact verbiage. That's what he said.
Yeah.
If I'm on the phone with a customer service agent and she's a moronic black woman,
yeah.
What am I to think? That she got there based on DEI?
Yes.
Right?
So the context is he's saying if I'm on the phone with someone who would be in a DEI class, who sounds like an idiot, and this is, by the way, I had this exact similar conversation with the girl at UT, where she said, I would never be at UT if not for affirmative action. I said, affirmative, and I believe it, affirmative action is racist by its definition, my opinion. It excludes on race. That is a form of racism. So anyway, she sat down, she said, young black girl, she said, but if it wasn't for affirmative action, she said, I wouldn't be here at UT. I said, why do you say that? She said, well, because I wouldn't be allowed. I said, well, what were your SATs? I remember the numbers, they were very impressive. I said, what was your GPA? It was very impressive. It was over 4.0. I said, that's really sad to me that you don't know, and you'll never know that you deserve to be here, because I can tell you, based on if you're telling me the truth, you of course would get into UT. And you didn't need a government program. And you could see in her face, her tears welled up because she had been told that she needed someone else to give it to her. And that removed her sense of pride in her accomplishment. So I said the exact same thing as Charlie did, saying you can never know if you earned it, a meritocracy, because of DEI. And she changed her mind. And she said, you know what? I should be here, and I don't need DEI. Or affirmative action in that case.
In order to believe that.
In that particular instance,
and certainly not from a white guy.
In that particular instance, it might have been completely accurate. But there's also, if you want to acknowledge that there's a flip side to the coin,
sure,
right? There's also a lot of people who had the qualifications who didn't get the access because, once again, their name appeared wrong on the resume. Your name was Ketanji. Well, we know who that is. Let's go with Alice.
Yeah. She is an idiot, and she got the job because of DEI.
That's why affirmative action had to be instituted in the first place. Now, did it operate correctly all the time? No. But that's what I'm saying. Just because it didn't operate correctly all the time, you're going to take the few instances where it didn't and make that the majority and say that's why you should cancel it.
What I'm saying is that Charlie Kirk, I agree. What I'm saying is that Charlie Kirk was making a point. And the point that he was making, I'm trying to say, is the same point that I was making where this black girl agreed with it, where he was saying, if you say that I'm only here because of DEI, then I am going to believe you. Right. That's what he's saying. And that's a valid point, and it's not hateful.
In doing that, you have the responsibility in your words to not have to say the words moronic black woman. You could have just said, if I'm on, like you said, you just perfectly summed it up. If I'm on the phone with a customer service agent and she's a moron, perfect. Why does she have to be qualified as black?
Because he was addressing DEI. That's the point.
But do you understand? Do you understand how that's going to affect somebody who hears it?
No, my point is, okay, then I'm insensitive. If someone is addressing DEI in a conversation and is asked about it, where race is relevant as per the policy, DEI, it exists based on race. You can't blame someone for acknowledging the race in criticizing the policy.
But the policy was created because race was being used to exclude.
Fine. Then don't say that it's wrong for him to acknowledge the race. He was making the point about a race-based initiative.
But you see,
that's why he included the race.
You see the choice in words he had to use? And once again, our responsibility in our choice of words is what creates a response in other people. I could say certain things to you, the way I say it can either it can either give you a good vibe or a bad one, and you're gonna respond a certain way.
Yeah, but who cares? That doesn't make someone a racist.
It doesn't. But I'm saying when people do things knowing that we're in a heightened inflammatory time, and you do it on purpose and just stand behind whatever. It don't make me a racist, but I'm saying that y'all ain't shit. Whatever.
But he never said that.
Whatever. That's just
no,
a
but
general,
that matters because believing those lies is why someone killed them.
women in a certain context, and then I'm not expecting nobody to get upset by that.
Let me just, because Charlie Kirk is a big thing. Let me just kind of, maybe if you could just listen to this, because this is important, and I've been through it, and you're just seeing the actual murder that got through.
Right.
I mean, I've had concrete milkshakes, someone tried to bash me with a rock, I've had people try to firebomb my car, slash my tires, I've had terrorists show up from Yemen by way of Sweden until the local PD showed up. Like, actually, I'm on the ISIS kill list.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a real thing. Charlie
So
was
all
going
the
through
stuff
it.
Dr. King and Malcolm X was dealing with. Go ahead, finish that.
Sure, great.
Yeah.
And I think it was wrong that he was taking probably the CIA involvement too. I think we probably all agree on that. That MLK, right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's wrong.
Yep.
We can say it's all wrong. But if you add it up, okay, where you believe the lie that he said something racist, let's just take that, okay? There's some hate put out there against Charlie Kirk that's not true. If someone believes a lie that he wants to erase trans people, that's what the people were also told. He wants to erase trans people, which is a lie. That person hates him too. If someone believes that he's a fascist or he's a Nazi who doesn't believe we should hold democratic elections, which is a lie, and people believe that, hey, that adds another piece of hatred and justification too. If someone believes that he's a misogynist, a sexist, who doesn't think that women should be allowed to vote or have the right to, earn their place in the workplace, that's not. And every single one of them is dishonest, just like no one here knew that Donald Trump said, I condemn white supremacists and neo-Nazis totally. So
and I still don't know that he said it. I hear you saying he said it, but I'd have to go see it in order to know it.
Okay, so
That's
let's assume for a second that I'm not lying, and right after this, I make the references available always. And you see that. And let's assume that I'm not lying and Charlie Kirk wasn't racist. And let's assume that he didn't want to commit genocide against trans people. And let's assume for a second that I'm not lying and there's a 12 times murder rate from black toward white people as opposed to white toward. Let's assume that I'm not lying about any of this because I'm kind of good at it and I know these numbers and it's what I do. Wouldn't we acknowledge that, hey, why? Why do so many people believe these lies? I guarantee you this right here, this conversation, you will read in the media that this was racist. Because I sat down
and discussed race issues.
Because I sat down and argued with black people. I've been accused of being a Nazi because of sitting down and having conversations. They said, well, you should know that's offensive. That's not my responsibility. I'm actually having a conversation, and so did Charlie. And he was shot for it and vilified for it.
And it wrongly.
And that's wrong, yeah. That's
wrongly.
And nobody.
But it's because people believe the lie.
But that's my point. It's because the way information is propagated and given to people.
Yeah.
Once again, via social media, all these other platforms, and most of it is disinformation.
I agree.
So that's the root of the problem, is giving people the wrong information, and then they responding to this wrong information by feeling a certain way about the people that information is informing them about.
Yep.
So then you have crazy people responding to misinformation, and that's where we at. We're a bunch of crazy people, bunch of shook up soda cans waiting to pop over some bad information.
Yeah.
I just want to add something, if I may, though, and this is the only part. As it relates to the Charlie Kirk situation, the only thing I think we kind of getting the mixed message in that is, as I said again, it was a young white man that killed Charlie Kirk for his personal issues, whatever those ideologies that may have been the cause and fuel his violence. It wasn't a black man who said, I don't like what he's saying. Nevertheless, he has said that, Ketanji Brown Jackson, what's that young lady, Michelle Obama, all these people with DEI hires. In other words, we respond differently because we have gotten so accustomed to it in terms of what's believed about us or perceived about us. So we just know, hey, at tomorrow it'll be another soundbite on some other shit. You understand what I'm talking about? So we're not going to react the same way. So I think we got to acknowledge the fact that, hey, you know what? There may need to be a change in the conversation overall as it relates to what's really the hell going on with white and black America. That's why I say, I just need you to kind of and Steve, when I say this, it's not a challenge, but I got to ask you, you got to tell me these sources where you're getting this 12 times more likely a black man killing a white person. I got to know that, not because it's contradictory, but because I like to have facts. Give me the source.
I'll give them to you. Yeah, when we do it, we always give a QR code where you can see all of them. These are coming from either the FBI or DOJ.
You say QR code and see, and that's a blind
I know, that's what I'm saying. I have to print it out in Braille and ship it. By the way, you want to hear a funny, true hand to God? I dated a girl in college whose dad was at an airport, and next to him was Stevie Wonder. He was reading a Playboy in Braille. I was like, I guess you had to do that one-handed. I don't know how you use a Playboy in Braille, but
Hey man, blind people, we love sex. That's our only connection to the rest of society.
in the airport, Stevie Wonder, Playboy in Braille. He's like, the f***.
Hey, Charles had 11 children. Go figure.
All right, no, I will.
It's been a pleasure.
Hey, Cedric, thanks. I gotta get going too. Thank you, man. Now that I know you're blind, I'm gonna.
Terrific, man. Thank you for everything, man. Continue your discourse, man, because this is the only way we're gonna really get to the root of the problem. We gotta talk about it first. So let's create the dialogue.
Yeah, and I came in hot because, my friends are getting killed. So.
Absolutely.
Man.
But
I appreciate it. No,
sure,
thank you guys, and hopefully we can.
And it
still
takes
keep
courage
having
to do
them.
what you do, man, when your life is on the line all the time. I mean, come on, that's not something to scoff at when you think about the possibility of losing your children.
This might be the cure if we can do it in a way that, you know what I'm saying, like keep it in a way that people don't get all up in arms about it. Yeah.
That's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm trying. Yeah. And I know we're never going to agree on everything. We probably might not agree on anything.
That's all right.
Problem is
But at least
point,
had a conversation.
Yeah.
At least had a conversation.
Brother Mike,
Conversation, man.
it's been a pleasure, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Nobody
sir.
walks away from the conversation feeling wrong by the others.
Watch, I'm going to walk out of here, but that boy motherfucker.
Yeah, don't leave no mics behind. I'm gonna tell you that.
Well, there you have it. What do you make of what you just watched? Assuming you watched both installments. Do you think there's hope that we're on the path toward reconciliation? Or are we completely cooked? Comment below, and if you like these kinds of conversations, or the Change My Minds, or The Daily Show, weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, and you want to see more, you don't want the lights to turn off, please do consider supporting by subscribing to Rumble Premium. The link is in the description, or just tune in daily at 11 a.m. It's what keeps the lights on. Until next time, this has been Black and White on the Gray Issues.